I proudly rise today in a bipartisan effort to release the Epstein files finally, after 5 administrations have covered it up. Earlier today, I attended the press conference where the survivors, they're not victims, the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse and sex trafficking told their stories. And they told stories about how it started back in 1991, 1996, and they continued on through the decades. And they told stories about how they told someone and tried to get help. They told the FBI, and they weren't listened to. And they told law enforcement, and no one did anything.
Now, once President Trump signs this into effect, it's going to take about 30 days before they actually release the files to the American people. Now, will the files actually expose the full truth? I think we're going to have to wait and see.
This was the biggest fight I think I've seen in Washington, D.C. This is my 5th year here. And this was a fight that we should have never had to wage. It should have been the easiest thing for every single member of Congress. It should have been the easiest thing for the Speaker of the House. It should have been the easiest thing for the President of the United States to release all the information, every single file, on behalf of these American women. These American women aren't rich, powerful elites. They do not have someone paying for their airline tickets or paying for their trips or paying for their expenses every time they try to do something to get this information out. These are your average Americans. And you want to know what the Epstein files represent? The cover-up represents to average Americans. It represents the failures of the federal government and Congress to the American people. And that is what people rose up about in 2024. They wanted and demanded transparency from their government and for Americans finally to be put first. And today, with this vote, we are finally putting these victims and these survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and the cabal of rich, powerful elites that expands not just here in the United States of America, but to other countries as well. We're putting them last. You see, for far too long, Americans have been put last. And they're sick of it. They're sick and tired of it. And this is why they don't trust Congress. This is why they don't trust the government. And here's the problem. All of these women who have suffered in shame for years and years and years, women who were terrified, women who were intimidated, women who were threatened, just like Virginia Giuffre. And now she's dead. And these women should have never faced that, for this information to come out. And we, especially the 4 Republican members of the House of Representatives, we should have never faced intimidation and threats for us to get this vote to come to the floor. Never forget, there were 4. Thomas Massie, myself, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert. We had to sign a discharge petition, and we had to fight through intimidation, and we had to endure it for months to push that discharge petition finally to 218 to get this vote to come out. This is what the American people are sick of, and rightfully so.
I'll tell you what, man. Don't be a scumbag. I'm gonna say this in the aggregate. Don't be a scumbag. But as you well know, if you are a regular viewer of this program, I have no fear of calling out other Republicans. We have used the cudgel of this show to go hard at Republicans who are weak, who sabotage and betray us. Mitch McConnell is a good example of this, but there are many. I've never protected anyone just because they have an R at the end of their last name. We're all human beings. All of us are fallen. It's incumbent on us, actually, to be scary to the Republican Party. I want them to fear me. I want them to fear you. You shouldn't get a free pass because there's an R at the end of your name. It is a good thing that we are releasing all of the Epstein files. I hope they release all of the January 6 files, all the pipe bomber files, all the JFK files, all of the UFO files. Release it all. Cleanse the system. Burn it to the ground. Imprison everyone. It's good. It's good that there was actually unity on all this vote. You won't find me defending the indefensible, okay? And you'll find me asking questions when questions need to be asked. Anyway, it was for Corey Mills last night that they cut a deal to prevent Stacey Plaskett, pedo protector, from just getting censured. It's not like we're putting her in prison. She's getting a little slap on the wrist. It's not like she's going to jail. Maybe she belongs there. I don't know. The vote failed because Republicans cut a filthy deal instead of letting the votes stand on their own.
I completely agree with Benny Johnson, and this is why I'm still following and listening to Benny Johnson, because I mean, he's making some great points on a lot of the things that he's been saying about the Epstein files and so many other things that are going on in this country and in the world. Man, there's some people out there on the right that have really lost their way, such as Officer Tatum. I mean, I think he went off the rails, and people are believing that he's getting paid by somebody, Turning Point or Israel or somebody. I don't believe he's getting paid by anybody. I think he's just changing his perspective and not realizing the truth that's being exposed should go above and beyond of what you believe in speculating. When there's been evidence, hard evidence coming to us, the American people, and you react to it, you should react to it as in, oh, well, this looks like proof. Doesn't look like AI. It doesn't look like somebody orchestrated this. I mean, in regard to the Charlie Kirk assassination, yeah, that text message that the FBI sent us was on a Microsoft Word document. Why not release the actual text message from the phone? These are questions that have to be asked, because that's not how a typical text message looks like. And that's just giving an example of lies that we've been fed. Or information that could be true, but it's not showing the authenticity. And the American want the authenticity because that's what it actually means to be transparent.
Hi, Bill. Good morning to you. There is an active probe taking place out of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan, where federal prosecutors there are looking at the Epstein files and ties, but not to President Trump, instead to former President Bill Clinton, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, and others. Now, the Justice Department, under Attorney General Pam Bondi, is now back in the business of looking into the Epstein file story. I say back in the business because just in July, this DOJ couldn't get away from the story fast enough, putting out a memo on July 6th reading, quote, "To that end, while we have labored to provide the public with maximum information regarding Epstein and ensured examination of any evidence in the government's possession, it is the determination of the Justice Department and of the FBI that no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted."
And this is where the American people should be extremely pissed. No, you don't get to decide bits of information from a huge controversial situation that is possibly linked with politicians and elites that help stabilize the system of this government. The American people need to know everything, because that's telling us a huge cover-up, and a lot of politicians need to go to jail if they were part of these illegal activities that happened on the island or outside the island.
I was 14 years old. I was 16 years old.
I was 16.
17. 14 years old. This is me.
This was me.
This is me when I met Jeffrey Epstein.
This is me when I met Jeffrey Epstein. There are about 1,000 of us.
It's time to bring the secrets out of the shadows. It's time to shine a light into the darkness.
Now, many of you out there may think, well, where were their parents? These 16, 17-year-old ladies, where were their parents at? You know, a lot of these parents were duped, in my opinion. You know, a lot of these crooked-ass elites went to their parents and said, hey, you know, your daughter may have a potential path to become an actress, and we can help groom her to be an actress. We'll fly her out to this island, and we'll start broadcasting or showing, teaching her how to, become an actress. I mean, here's some money. Bop. Throw a bag of money on the table. Parents out there are thinking, oh, this is legit. Times have changed. Times have changed to the point where the corruption is getting more exposed, and it should be making people with common sense start questioning a lot more, and also being very much included in what's going on. How these girls got to the island without their parents is beyond me. If someone came to me and said, yeah, your kid is, great, we want to ship him to this island, guess what? I'm coming too. You're booking my ass a ticket, we're going, and I'm going to make sure my daughter's safe. But see, this is a whole new generation of thinking, because back in the day, parents, it wasn't that they didn't trust, it's that they trust too much. And to the point where so many bad things went wrong, and their kids were too afraid to speak out when it actually happened. And now that they're older and they're realizing, oh, I wasn't just the only one. Oh, I wasn't just the only target. There are so many people out there. This is a big deal. I need to come out and I need to speak the truth of what happened back in the day. That's how I'm looking at the situation. And, they mentioned, they tried to contact the police and say something, but without any proof, or if these elites had the money and power to shut the police department up, wherever they were at, it's all possible. And wherever the money trail is, it's going to lead to all these corrupted ass people. And, Jeffrey Epstein was probably somewhere up there that had way too many connections. He may have offed himself. Or he got murdered to prevent him from spilling the beans on many other crooked politicians and celebrities and elites that are still out there. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Until next time, peace out, everybody. This was for Charlie.